What's good, y'all? It's Malls once again, episode 5 of Break It On Down, the series where I break down the backstory, give a couple, lyric breakdowns and the history of the songs from the album that I recently released called Famous Last Words, which was produced entirely by D.R.U.G.S Beats. Go and get that if you haven't. Today, we are going to be breaking down the song Third Person, which is track 6, I believe, on the album. Let's get it.
Good dude, never really cared how the hood move. Quick learner, make mistakes. Next time you improve.
All right, so Third Person. First of all, the title, most of you already know. When you're talking third person, it's when you use your own name, instead of I. So Malls is talking to you right now in third person about Malls' song, Third Person. The way they used to say that Ricky Henderson talked. So the title came from back in high school, actually. I was in a rap group in high school called The Regime, and it was kind of groups within groups. And I talked about this in a previous episode. There was 2 guys in the crew, Saga and Profile. I'm not going to give out their government names because I don't know what their occupations are and if it would be detrimental to said occupations. But Saga had a song called Third Person where he just talked about himself in the present, I'm the fly, tall, skinny kid, blah, blah, blah. And it was kind of a braggy tone to the whole song. So I just revisited that idea and just applied it to me and decided to, give my history, leading up to, the present day. The vocal sample in the beginning of the song, that pretty much informed me where I was going to go. The sermon part was talking about, a kid that's always into trouble and it's stressing the mom out. And even though I was never in legal trouble, I struggled mightily, as a lot of us have, in becoming the person that we are today. So I kind of felt that, and I felt like this was a good chance for me to tell my story in a condensed, 3-minute version of it. So, the first couple of bars, good dude, never really cared how the hood move, quick learner, make mistakes, next time you improve. After I wrote those couple of bars, that's when I decided that I would not reveal that I'm the subject of the song until the end, and then in the end, I'll reveal that it's me, and that's going to be that, moment, ha ha. And, if you are familiar with my catalog, first of all, it's obviously me, because I've kind of hinted towards things that are in the song in, a lot of previous songs. So it's not like it's that big of a gotcha, but it's, if you're not familiar with my catalog very much, then it may come to a surprise. It's me. And I think the hardest part about writing a song like this, an autobiographical song, is knowing what to leave out, and for the stuff that you're putting in, how in depth do you go? Because, at my big age, this could easily be a 45-minute song. And I like my rapping, but I ain't trying to rap for 45 minutes on one song. I don't think anybody wants to hear that. So that was the most difficult thing in writing this song, is just, making sure that I stick to the narrative, but also not go off on, in the little minutia of my life, even if it was something that was impactful later, just trying to get the bullet points, and such. And I'm not going to really go too much into just breaking down each of the lyrics, because I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. It's pretty much a beginning to end. It's a narrative, and I don't really mask too much of anything. I don't say any names because I don't want to incriminate myself or others, But I'm not going to do too much of like a breakdown of like each rhyme. But, a constant, I think a recurring theme in the song is just, especially early on, is that me feeling like an outcast, like I didn't belong, even within my friend groups. And also me kind of having to go for self and figure out things on my own. And it's not to say that I never had help, but I think a lot of people kind of know what this is like when you are the good kid who gets good grades and doesn't get into trouble and is cool being left to their own devices. People tend to be like, okay, well, they're cool. I don't have to worry about them as much. But if you have someone else who maybe doesn't get so good grades, or they are struggling in one area or another, or getting into trouble, however severe, you tend to focus more on them to kind of straighten them out and get them on a path where they can achieve and succeed and all that stuff. So it's kind of a natural thing. And also, that feeling like an outcast thing, like I still feel like that, even within my friend groups. And I think the difference today is, as I've gotten older, I've become way more comfortable with it. It used to be something that really bothered me. Now I embrace it. I have friends where, like, depending on what I'm talking about, they could clearly not understand a word that I'm saying, you know. But it's cool, like it doesn't bother me at all. Like I know I have a group of friends where, like, if I don't remind them, they don't even know I rap. So it's just one of those things, I guess. So I kind of, give like just a quick overview of just, childhood, in school, aced it, potential not wasted, all advanced classes. That was me. I was in AG classes, all those honor rolls, all that stuff, the scam of who's who among American high school students. And I think I kind of, when I start going just a little bit in depth, was really kind of like middle school, of just how I just kind of felt really alienated amongst my peer groups. And then, going and it's something normal for all kids. You feel alienated going through peer groups, you're going through puberty, like all kinds of weird shit is happening and you don't know what the fuck is going on. And then, I get into high school where I'm becoming more confident. I get my growth spurt. I slimmed down. I was always a big kid. I slimmed down a lot. It definitely helped me with my confidence. But despite having that boost in confidence, I'm still feeling like the awkward outcast that don't really talk to people like that. That doesn't really talk to people like that. So still though, I don't really know much about struggling because, again, when you're in school, school is pretty much your life, and school came really easy to me. I dug school. I didn't really put a lot of effort into it at all and still made A's. So I think the difficulty started when I got to college. I went to ECU, and the first semester was cool. Pretty much not much difference between, high school and college, other than the fact that, I'm responsible for getting myself to class, and the schedule, So it wasn't until maybe like second semester and then my sophomore year where I started to have problems. And a lot of those problems were financial because I was an art major. And if you are an art major or know an art major, then you know that pain of not only having to buy your books for your regular classes, but having to buy art supplies too. And that shit ain't cheap. So, there was just the culture shock of going from, Hertford County High School, which was mostly black, to East Carolina University, which was mostly white. And now I'm living in the dorm rooms, and like, it's like, I got the whole, hey, can I touch your hair thing? Like, that was really weird for me. Like, why do you want to touch my hair? No, you cannot, do not touch my hair. I've gotten the, oh, you speak so well thing too. Like I didn't really get that, you know, in high school, as a teenager or whatnot. So there's that culture shock and just learning about all these, people that have come together in the dorm rooms. Um, but there's also just that thing of like, okay, now I have to try, like you're not just going to get a good grade for showing up. Like you got to do the work. And especially as an art student, I had really big hangups about that too, because, it was always cool being, the top one or two, drawers in high school and stuff. But now you're going to a public university when there's people from all over the state, people from all over the country, people from other countries are there. And you're going to these art classes and you're seeing people's like, yo, why are you even in school? Like people that are doing like these crazy, amazing things. And then like, it's like, oh, I drew Spider-Man, you know? So it definitely took a toll on my confidence, but it also, I think around second semester or and going into my sophomore year, I started to realize like, I ain't got to go to class if I don't want to, So like I would just not go to class a lot, really. Especially, let me tell you something. I lived, if you're familiar with East Carolina University, I lived in what used to be called Aycock Hall. I don't know what it's called now. Maybe I think they changed it to Freedom Hall or something, but it was on College Hill. It's on the hill, and the School of Art was on the other side of campus. So if I had an 8 o'clock art class, I had to walk with my big ass portfolio all the way down the hill, across campus at 8 in the morning. And I ain't a morning person at all. And I guess I could have taken the bus, but I didn't want to deal with having to maneuver this big ass art portfolio onto the bus, or even just wait for the bus. I'd rather just walk, listen to my headphones or whatever, and walk to class. But anyway, so there would be a lot of days where I'm like, I'm just not gonna go to class. It's cool, And in art class, the biggest thing you could do is miss critique day. Not a good look. So that kind of started me on my descent into the struggle. So, on top of just in my regular classes, realizing that the bare minimum isn't going to get it done. And in the art class, especially in the art classes, I didn't really realize that like, yo, my grades are kind of struggling. Like when I'm in class, I'm doing good. And I've always, in addition to being kind of a smart kid, I always tested well. Like I always did well on tests for some reason. But, if you're not going to class and, you're not getting your, artwork done and put on time, you're gonna fail essentially. And, I was kind of doing that for a long time. I got to my third year. Notice I don't call it my junior year. And that's when I got suspended for the first time, academic suspension, for a semester. And, my GPA dropped so low that it ended up taking me 6 years to graduate. I did graduate, got my degree in psychology. Cool. So that's kind of where it started. So now I'm feeling like I'm behind and like it's already taken a hit on my confidence because, I've kind of always achieved and overachieved by doing very little. And now I'm struggling to keep up because I dug a hole for myself. And I feel like I didn't really put this in the song, but I feel like the irony of all that, especially back to my college years, was that I had friends who like just legit didn't do anything while in school. And they were like, damn, Malls, you're like the good one. Like you don't party, you don't smoke, you don't drink. And you're the first one to get suspended from school. Like, and it was kind of wild because I was like, damn, yo, you're right, So when I graduated, if like I know, they don't waste no time. Like, all right, they counting down. It's like, all right, boom, we're going to hit you with these student loan payments. And I had trouble finding a job. I eventually found a job working at Blockbuster Video. And I worked there for a little while. But like, I'm making a little over minimum wage. Like, it's not enough to pay rent, pay bills, and pay these student loans. And I was just struggling. So I ended up moving to Florida, and I stayed in Florida for a couple of years. I, got a job. Someone hooked me up with a job pretty quickly. Somebody I was staying with someone at the time, and then got my own place. Things happened. I'm not going to go into detail, but things happened, and I ended up moving back to North Carolina. Now, when I moved back to North Carolina, I had nothing lined up. It was like, boom, I got to go. And I just left. So looking for a job was hard, like damn hard. And with a degree and very little experience other than Blockbuster Video and the tobacco fields from, from a previous episode, like it's gonna be a struggle. And so I moved back to Greenville and stayed with a friend of mine on the couch, and couldn't really find work. Then I was like, okay, like I can't just keep, staying here with my friend and living on his couch, and I'm not doing anything to contribute, So I moved back in with my mom. And again, I'm just trying to, filling out as many applications as possible, and it's just struggling. And like, I'm just, you feel that dread and that sense of just like, yo, I ain't shit, yo. Nobody's trying to hire me. Like, I can't even get a call back from McDonald's. What is wrong? I finally get a call from a job, and I will say their name, because if you live in Raleigh, you know all about ACS. Shout out to all my ACS folks. I got a job at ACS, moved to Raleigh, gotten a room for rent there, and I lived there for a while. Until some other things that will be redacted. But if you know me and you're watching this, you knew what happened. I ended up straight legit homeless. I was living in an extended stay hotel. Some days I had to stay in my car. But like for a long time. And the crazy thing is, around this time was when I started to become a part of the Raleigh, the Triangle rap scene out in Raleigh. And I'm going to these shows, and I'm doing these shows, and I'm meeting these other rappers, and I'm going to these open mics and stuff. And they don't know that I'm like driving back to an extended stay to live and eat, French bread and butter for dinner. I'm driving to work and pretty much got enough money to stay at the extended stay off and on and put gas in my car to drive to work. Or just, not stay in the extended stay and spend the night or two in my car. And I think all of that just took a toll on my self-worth and self-esteem and confidence and stuff, because my whole life, I've been told like, Jay, you're special, you're smart, you're going to be this, you're going to be that because you're smart. And here I am feeling like, and it wasn't even that I'm feeling like I'm letting other people down, because, I will say like, my mom, my brother, my grandma, they never said like, yo, we're disappointed in you, or, you let us down. They were like, they were encouraging, but I just put all that on myself. Like, I was like, man, you were supposed to be this, and you were supposed to, graduate in 4 years and do this and do that. And now look at you, like, you are, you're buying ramen and French bread, and that's all you're living off of. So that, that kind of hurt. And I think this is the part where it kind of relates to the opening sermon in the beginning of the sample. Like, while my mom didn't say that, hey, you're a disappointment, she was still concerned, and she did let me know, like, my mom and my grandma was like, hey man, I'm worried about you. Like, you make sure you take care of yourself, and that was like, that was kind of hard, because I knew how proud, and I knew that they were still proud of me, but I knew how proud they were when, I got into college and when I graduated college, and, they had high hopes for me. And it didn't really turn out in the amount of time that we all thought that it would. But then again, it rarely does for any of us, you know? And I think that as I was writing the song, you know, it kind of dawned on me that like, yo, and that I put it in the rhyme, you know, when things come too easy, at least for me, when things come too easy, you do the bare minimum. You do just enough to skate on, you know, and that's what I did. And ultimately I've kind of, aside from other, you know, like self-esteem issues and social awkwardness and discomfort and social anxiety issues and stuff like that, aside from those, you know, a lot of my struggles just came from me never putting forth effort until it was like, okay, I got to, or it's going to be bad, you know. For the record, I will add that my last couple of years at ECU, I made the Dean's List and President's List. So, you know, I knocked it out. But still, I should have never put myself in that situation where I had to do that to graduate, you know. So it just took a lot of growing. It took a lot of pain through that growth for me to get in a position where I'm doing a lot better. And to be completely honest, I'm still dealing with the consequences of those actions and inactions and poor decisions, you know, even from back then when, you know, I was in college and, you know, a new graduate of college and that homeless time. Like, I'm still kind of dealing with those consequences today. But I'm definitely doing a lot better. Like, I got time to be on YouTube and shit. So hooray for that. I get to the end of the song and it's like, okay, I need to go ahead and wrap it up. And it's one of the few times where I write, you know, basically to the end of the beat. You know me, I'm usually 2 verses and I'm out, get my point across. And so that's when I'm like, you know, kind of revealed that it's me, been through hell and damn it, I ain't going back. And I'm pretty much determined, like, you know, I have, you know, cut off certain people, you know, I don't cut off a lot of people, but I definitely cut off certain people that like, I just I couldn't trust myself to make good decisions with, you know, or having them around and trusting myself to make good decisions. And I had to just cut ties no matter how much I cared for them. So I'm kind of determined not to go back to those struggles, you know, and knock on wood, you know, it's going to continue to get better for me. You know, that's the been through hell and damn it, I ain't going back part. So at the end of the song, it was another thing where I'm like, okay, how do I kind of put the exclamation point or the period or just, you know, really drive home the point of, you know, this tale that I just, you know, told. And again, watching documentaries and stuff. Actually, this wasn't even a documentary. I'll go ahead and reveal my source on this. There's a old TV show that used to come on in the early 70s called Soul. It was basically black art. You know, they had poets, they had authors, they had musicians, actors, and this time they were interviewing Ozzie Davis and Ruby Dee, I believe. It was both of them. But, you know, Ozzie Davis had that part, you know, we've been black so long that, you know, being our existence, you know, is basically a miracle. Paraphrasing, it wasn't his exact words, but I just thought that fits so well with the story and my life and a lot of other people's lives that I know, that it went perfect with the song. So I just, you know, did my little editing and kind of stuck that little piece on the end of it. And that is it, man. Third person, like it's the story of Malls, you know, a Cliff Notes version of it, if you will. This is the time where I tell you guys that make sure you like this video if you dug it. If you don't dug it or didn't dig it, you know, subject verb agreement. If you didn't dig it, maybe next time. You know, these are out every week. But make sure you like the video, comment, love to hear your thoughts on it. If you dug the song or, you know, if you kind of can relate or whatever, leave me a comment. Subscribe to the channel if you have not. Once again, Famous Last Words is available anywhere that you listen to music. But if you real one, you'll get it from my Bandcamp. The link is going to be in the description down below. And I didn't point down this time because you know where the description is. I did recently just sell out of CDs, but I will be re-upping. I'm not sure which one it is, but I will be getting more CDs soon. So if you want a physical copy, just hold tight. Again, famous last words. Malls on the raps, Drugs Beats on the beats. My man Brian Kidd on the mixing and mastering. Shout out to everybody who was involved in the project. Shout out to everybody who's purchased it, who's listened to it and all that stuff. And we'll catch you next week. Peace.
Now things are good, he's determined not to fall a track. He is I, been through hell and damn it, I ain't going back.